U.S. politics is no different, basically, than the politics of any other representative government in the world. You have to appreciate that all what we call democracies in the world are all representative governments. They're not democracies in the true sense of the word. There's really only one that approximates what we call democracy, and that's, of course, Switzerland, where they have a partnership between their people who have the power to make laws in partnership with their elected officials. That's the only one. Now, we have other areas of the world where people not at the national level, but at the state and local level, where the people can make laws by initiative, but with very imperfect procedures, basically in 24 states in the United States, in Germany, in Uruguay, and that's about it, where people, and there's various other areas. Now, there's a normal confusion about people lawmaking. You hear it very often, initiative and referendum. Now, bear in mind that any legislative body can refer a legislative decision to the people, and that's called a referendum. Or in Europe, it's very much of a plebiscite. However, the people, when something is referred to them, all they can do is vote yes or no. They don't make the decision on the content of what is being referred to them. It's a little bit like a school bond issue, or, all you can do is vote yes or no. With respect to an initiative, the people can initiate the content of the legislative proposal and thereby present it to the balance of the constituency for an affirmative or negative vote. So it's a very important distinction to make between the initiative process and the referendum process. But it's very much of a confusion. People always think in terms of referendum when really what they probably are meaning to say is initiative process. And that confusion is perpetuated by, of course, the people in the government, because they want to keep the people basically ignorant about the potential power that the initiative process, that people have realized that if they had the initiative process, now they've got real serious power, because they could initiate legislation, which is a far cry from just waiting for the powers to be to place before the people a yes or no vote on legislation, which is rarely done. In fact, in the United States, we have never been offered the opportunity to vote on a constitutional change, and we've had 27 amendments to our Constitution. Not once have the people voted on a change in our Constitution. All I can say is I just throw my hands up in the air and say, there is an answer, but it's not going to come about because the powers that be in this country won't let the American people, and the American people have been drugged into accepting the authority of the elites. The answer lies with the people. The people are smarter than their leaders, and the people don't even know this. Most of the people don't accept this. But then when you go to a place like South Korea, that's the reason why I'm over there. Their Constitution, and I'll tell you this as a patriotic American, their Constitution is very much better than ours. Very much better than ours. Remember I was telling you a moment ago that we have never voted on an amendment to our Constitution? They've had 8 amendments to their Constitution, and people have voted on all of them. You cannot amend a South Korean Constitution without the people making the amendment. You can't. Isn't that an interesting situation? A South Korean citizen is registered for life to vote. In the United States, you're not registered for life. Move across the street from one district to the other, and you got to re-register again. Most people don't appreciate that our process is designed categorically to make it difficult for you to participate in government. Yet every politician says, we want you to participate. It's a joke. That's not the way it's designed. When I run for office, I want my people to turn out. I don't want my opponent's people to turn out. So when I have power, you sabotage the opponent's process. This is the competition between the parties. And it's representative government. The answers will not be found within the context of representative government. They can only be found within the context of the people. There's only two venues for change: the government, wherein the problem lies, and the people. I've got several books out there. The one that's a polemic is called Citizen Power, and that's self-published. You can get it on Amazon, or you can write me at at Mike Gravel, MG at mikegravel.us, and I'll be happy to send you a book, $15, $17, $20, whatever, and I'll inscribe it for you. And it's a polemic that deals with issues that I care about. But Chapter 2 deals with the National Initiative for Democracy, which is really the most important thing that I think I'm putting forth. And Chapter 12, which is titled Who Stole the American Dream? And that's new scholarship where I develop what happened really in Philadelphia in 1787, where our framers, not the founders, the framers of the Constitution, wrote a Constitution that was designed to recreate the government at the time, the Confederation, which was failing. It was falling apart. And the people that would be most damaged by that, of course, were the elites and the property owners. So they wrote a Constitution that essentially was an attempt to protect the interest of the elites, and the main interest of a good portion of those elites was slavery. And so they had to devise a methodology of getting it ratified, not by the people, because they knew that the people would not buy into slavery, because they saw what happened in 1778 when the people of Massachusetts refused to ratify the Constitution of Massachusetts that included slavery. And then the people did ratify in 1780 the Constitution of Massachusetts, which took out slavery. So they knew that if they left, which they did, they had slavery locked in to the Constitution. So they well knew that if they let the people ratify directly the Constitution, that the people would not accept our Constitution as it was designed by them, because the people would not accept slavery even in the Deep South. Keep in mind that slavery was for the minority, the planters of the Deep South, not the ordinary people in the South, who actually were in competition to the slave economy. So what they did is, and this is Madison's artifice, he developed this idea of having the conventions of 9 states. When they approved this is Article 7, which is very 2 lines that said, when the conventions of 9 states ratify this, it will become the law of those 9 states. Well, who's going to these conventions? The people that were at the convention in Philadelphia, and the elites of these various states who are controlling the polity of those states are going to go to those conventions. So basically the ordinary people were not involved at all in the ratification process. And so those 9 states ratified. What's the interesting phenomena is that this was an illegal process at the time, because the Confederation Constitution said that you could only have changes if they were unanimously agreed to. But since they all recognized that the government was falling apart, the opposition just melted away and accepted this Article 9 ratification procedure. And so what happened was it became a self-actuating process where, because it was ratified, it made it legal. A very interesting legal procedure was put in motion, which I am now using as I am going forward in trying to get the ratification of the National Initiative for Democracy in the United States and using the same procedure, the same precedent for doing the same thing in South Korea.